So, if you know us already, we're both on Twitter a lot and we both talk about eating disorders and mental health and all sorts of things that annoy us or pearls of wisdom that we try to pass on to other people.
Or things you feel really passionately about or strongly about, or things, that is passing on, isn't it?
It's passing on what we think, because I find a lot of the time that if I say something about anorexia or bulimia or depression or suicide or anything like that, I find that people come back to me and say, that's exactly my thoughts. You know, I've thought that, I've been through that, but a lot of people feel that they can't. So we said that we'd do a video, and I asked what you wanted to hear us go on about, and the main thing that you came back with was asking us how we're so open and what sort of why are we so open?
Why share our recovery or our experience of eating disorders and mental health? Why share? Why talk about it?
And my first response was, why not?
It's kind of it seems obvious. Like, I think I'm the same. Like, it seems totally obvious to talk about it. Like, it is so secretive, and they are illnesses that thrive off, secrets and about not talking. So obviously for me, the obvious antidote to that is by talking about it, and I think in a way to make other people okay about talking about it as well, because like you said, when you write things...
when I write anything, I do always get people agreeing with me and saying, I wish I could be this open, and I sort of... It gets to me a bit that people don't feel that they can be open about mental health, because we're always going on about reducing stigma, and if you want to do that, then the only thing you can do is be an example of reducing the stigma, and that's the only way you can do that is by speaking out about it and being honest about your feelings and thoughts in every way possible. And I think we do that in the most public way
that you can. I think it's like saying that you want to do things but you don't actually do it. It's like saying you need to accept change but not change. And I think it's the same. Like, you can say, you could write 1,000 blog posts on about how it's not good, that the stigma about mental health, or you can complain that people don't talk about mental health, but unless you share your own personal experience of mental health, you're actually not helping. You're not... Do you know what I mean? Because I was quite easy.
We're not slagging you off, by the way.
Yeah. No, it isn't. I think it's really hard, and I think we both said that there's that anonymity as well. Like, is that the word?
Yeah.
I can't say it. Basically, stayed anonymous to it. So, like, we both said that, like, I used pro-anorexia sites and stuff, and I said, like, I didn't really give my full identity out, and when I started writing about recovery, I also didn't put my name to it, and we both said, I think there's there's different stages of sharing, and I think that's a start. For me, talking about it anonymously was the start of me talking about it and putting my name to it, and we both got to a point where we went, kind of like, fuck this, like, this is me, like, this is my problem, and, that's quite recent for me as well, but...
Yeah, because when I first started writing about it, I was writing for The Independent, and that was when I was in hospital being treated for anorexia, and it was suggested to me that I use a pseudonym. And I kind of just went along with that, but I used my middle name, Catherine, because although I was using a pseudonym, I wanted to not be detached from it, because I was never ashamed, really. Well, I was with bulimia, but not anymore.
Story.
Not anymore. But it was... I didn't feel right using a pseudonym, because I felt like I was hiding behind something, and there's nothing to hide. We've both have had anorexia and me bulimia as well, and it's just a fact.
I think there's no point. Yeah, I think it's like coming out, isn't it? It's like people that come out. It's the way I talked about an eating disorder awareness week actually recently. Like, I said to someone, I came out at work on my eating disorder, and I came out on my professional blog about my eating disorder, and it does feel like that, I think. I don't know, but I'm not gay, so I haven't come out from that, but I presume that that's what it'd feel like. And it's liberating. I find it liberating talking about my eating disorder, and like you said about, it's really nice when you do write something for somebody to say, that's exactly how I feel. And for me, a lot of the problem in my recovery still is validating or believing that I'm really going through this, and it does help me to get it out there and someone go, I feel like that, and I'm like, well, okay, I must be anorexic if somebody else feels like that that's had an eating disorder. So for me it's about validation as well, I think. And that's, you know, I still read blogs, and I read Ilona's blog, and I watch videos, and, you know, I see things on TV and I go, oh my god, I feel like that too. And if people talking about their problems evokes that in me, then I'm glad that things that I write will help other people in that way. But also I think it's, find it quite therapeutic for myself. Like, I just get it all out there, and sometimes I do. My blogs are really self-indulgent and really like just, I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. They are rants, but if they help me, then selfishly I like that.
Splurging.
Yeah, splurging it all and just getting it all out there, and I think that's the point. And if, I don't know.
That's another thing.
I don't think I can describe it because it is so obvious to me.
I think with writing about it as well, because I was writing while I was in hospital, some of the staff there almost showed concern that I was writing and focusing on it so much, but it helped me. It helped me to understand what I was going through, and I think being open about it sort of is the only way that you can be honest.
I think,
and you have to be honest with yourself and other people, because anorexia and other mental health issues that are quite detrimental and
destructive,
yeah, self-destruction. You know, you can't sort of say things but only in your own head. You've got to be out loud, because a lot of those things are illogical or only make sense to you.
Yeah, no, I completely, like, if you don't get it out there and you're not honest about it, then you just end up spiralling because they make sense, and then you think there's not a problem because you've made sense and you've legitimised it in your head, or you've justified it in your head. And I think unless you put it out there and someone goes, nah, that's weird, or that's mental, or that's really un-PC of Wayne, or that's, you know, I say things to my friends.
Un-PC's okay.
Yeah, that's where we were, because we were all sorry. But like, I don't know, yeah, I know what you mean, like getting it out there. And plus, for me, it makes me make sense. If I say something or think something and then it feels different when you write it on paper, and even if I say things to my therapist now, that I'll say, okay, that made sense in my head, but I just said it to you and I can see how anorexic it is. Or if I say something to Ilona and I'm on the phone and I say, yeah, I don't think it's that anorexic that I think that it is, and you're like, yeah, it really is. Unless I vocalise that, unless I'd spoken that, unless I'd used my voice in that way, then I'd still make sense of that in my head, and which obviously keeps you in your illness. So yeah.
Because you're warped a lot of the time.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Not me, I don't think she meant me personally. But like, I think for me, it's that accountability as well. So if I write something, and plus I've always said, and I will say on everything I do, like I won't ever say I'm recovered yet or whatever, or I won't ever say that I can be a role model in some things. But the rest thing, I'm not trying to say, like, that you can only get to a point that you can't be a hypocrite. Like, I'm not going to stand here and say, oh, I know how to deal with that when I don't, or say something. Or if I say that, or if I give advice out that, that you know, that you have to be honest, then I have to be honest. Then I have to do it myself.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You have to be accountable, but it makes me accountable. If I say something, like, I have to do it. I have to fight.
If you put a recovery quote out there, like something inspirational for other people, you've got to sort of do that yourself as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
To be cliche about it, you've got to practice what you preach.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got to
like
walk the walk. You've got to walk the way. It's full of cliches and so many things.
Not just talk the talk.
You know, and I think that helps me. And what personally, a lot of people, I don't know. Let us know. But I don't know if a lot of you share like the work or the blogs you keep with your therapy team. For me, everything I blog about, every video I make, everything I write, and every journal I write, everything I write and do, my team get, which I found really helpful. So I'm not hiding behind a computer screen and living a lie and kind of going to treatment and going through the motions of going to therapy and then come home, blog about something that's really eating disordered, and then not tell my team about that. They read it as well. So I think that's really helped me. So
that's good.
Nothing's been secret with them. I didn't do that straight away, by the way. That was a gradual thing that I've learned to share with them. But it's helped me because I write very differently, and they pick up on that. So like, I write on my blog differently to write in my journal, and it's a lot more like journalistic on my blog and stuff as well. And it's good for my team to see the difference between me taking myself out and blogging about eating disorders or talking about mental health, and then how I get caught up in my own emotions still, and that difference is good for me. And when it gets pointed out to me, it's even better. So I'll think of something logically if I take myself out of the equation, but then they bring it back to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
And also talking about other mental health issues, and that's why I'm going to start writing more like with the mind stuff, because I think it's really interesting to think about other mental health issues and talk about them, because it makes us realise that we're different. And that's only something recently that I've decided, that I've talked to friends who've suffered from depression, friends that suffer from self-harm, even from other eating disorders, and I can kind of go, I don't really understand what they're going through in terms of depression because I've never suffered, but underlying issues are all the same, which makes me realise that, you know, or accept that we're all different. So that helps me in a different way, like talking about other eating disorders and other mental health issues.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that it can be quite dangerous to keep only associate yourself with other eating disordered people, because it is so competitive and obsessive, and you sort of risk getting stuck in that world. And when you're trying to recover, the people that you surround yourself with and that you listen to and that you follow on Twitter or whatever have a massive influence really on the way that you feel about yourself. And I think, you know, it can be quite toxic to only focus on people who are going through the same thing.
I think it becomes quite like, well, that's something that recently, what was it the other day? It was
It's
literally
a whole
like,
other blog, isn't
it's
it?
a whole other blog, and it's something that like we spoke about recently from my own, what I've struggled with personally and still struggle with, and that's getting so caught up in living through, only associating with people that have got eating disorders, that it can become, toxic is the right word in itself. And I think it's important to see outside of that world. And also for me, recovery's a process, and I'm trying, I don't know, I'm not going to get smushy about it.
Waffling?
Yeah. But that's what we do, like, if I don't swear I'll waffle, so. But no, in terms of sharing it, like, I think we summed it up in the first 2 seconds, like, why not?
Why not?
Why not? Like, why be ashamed of it? Why? It doesn't make, I think it makes people strong. I sound like really cheesy now, but like, you know, going through this makes you stronger, not weaker, so why not talk about it? And if you don't talk about it, then it's not doing anything. So I don't know.
If you don't talk about it, you're almost denying it.
Yeah, if you don't talk about it, you're denying it. Yeah, you're in denial. Are you?
No, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, because I don't know. It just seems obvious.
That's
Maybe
just,
it struggles because we find it so obvious to talk about it and share it, and I don't know.
To me, it's almost natural that I share it, because I used to feel shame, but I don't anymore, and I don't think that anyone else should feel ashamed of having an eating disorder or any mental illness. So why should I?
If you can't talk about it, it shows there is a problem still. I think that's the thing. If I'm scared to talk about it, then it shows that we need to change society, because it still means there's things in place that make mental illness something that you should be ashamed of. And unless you change that by actively saying, you know what, yes, I am Sarah, I am a journalist, I am this, I am that, and I have anorexia, or I've had anorexia, you just, I don't know, unless you can say that without going, oh my god, what are people going to think about me, there's still reason to change, because that means if I'm worried about people judging me for it, it means there's still a stigma, which is the whole point.
Yes.
I've talked about it to reduce that.
Yeah.
But if you don't talk about it, then it's not going to get reduced, so it's just like, okay, well maybe it's just really obvious that I want to talk about it.
So talk.
Yeah, just basically.
Share.
Rant, do whatever. Talk about it and don't be ashamed, but also make sure that you're accountable. Yeah. Because you can talk about it and then wish it goes away, but it's not going to. That's what. Oh, I don't know. See, we can both write, but we both can't talk. I want to be some big high on the end and a big fireworks and go, yes, that's exactly why. There's no point, but the point is, it's obvious.
This is why I haven't video blogged before.
I think we should just go and eat some chocolate now.
Chocolate.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to go and do, because I need to.